What's going on, sled addicts? Jesse here. I decided I wanted to talk to you guys today a little bit about my experience with studs and kind of what I've run with studs and the sleds that I've had in my lifetime. So when I was a little kid, we had two 2000 Polaris 700 XC Deluxes, and they were actually only 120-inch tracks, and we had 144 studs in them, so that was a lot. When I started progressing and we got newer sleds, I had 96 for a while. And when I got my 2018 Renegade XRS, which was my first sled in the Gen 4 chassis, I actually started off, I ordered the 1.6 Ice Cobra, which is a pre-studded track, which I'd never used a pre-studded track before. And I ran that setup for probably 2-3 weeks of the season, and I was noticing that like my track was spinning. If I wanted to off the bat hit the throttle and lift the skis, I just couldn't do it. And I felt with an 850 I want to be able to use all that power. So I ended up putting in 144 Studboy PowerPoint Plus studs with the SuperLite Pro backers. At that point, it was a mix between the single backers and the double backers. And that really made the sled pick up quickly, instant acceleration, so I liked that. At the end of that season, though, when I was looking at the track of the sled, that 1.6 Ice Cobra, 2,800 kilometers on the track, I was missing lugs, which was surprising. And even more than that, all of those pre-studs in the track were completely flattened out. So I ended up buying a 1.5 Ripsaw, a two-ply track the following year, and I studded that with 144 studs and put it on. And I actually had that for 2 full seasons of about 9,000-10,000 kilometers on it, and the track was in perfect condition and the studs were basically perfect. A little bit dulled out, but that's what happens when you use studs. And then this year, I decided to go with 96 instead of 144, because last year when riding Mike's sled, he had 96 studs, and then he had the 6-inch Bergstrom triple points. And I found that was like a perfect trade-off between having enough traction, but also being light on the steering and having your ass end of the sled being able to slide out with you in the corners and not kind of just like grabbing. So I actually, last year when I had 144 studs, I put the 8-inch Skidoo Executive Series carbides on, and that was overkill. Even with 144 studs around the corner, my ass would slide out with 144 studs because those carbides were just so deep. So this year, I decided to go with the 96 studs, same studs, Studboy PowerPoint Plus studs with the SuperLite Pro Series backers, and this time I only did double backers, and I did basically an alternating pattern of doubles going from one side of the row to the other, back and forth all the way through the track, and that adds up to 96. So I'm excited to see how that works for me this season. I'm also going to put on the 6-inch Bergstrom triple points because Mike ordered them for me, so I'm excited to try that out. But in terms of my opinion with studs, I think that any form of stud is important because it adds that little extra bit of safety that you need. So for example, if someone buys a pre-studded track, that track is going to be great in terms of that extra bit of braking power that you get, so you're not sliding as much, and that safety a little bit around the corners and when you're slowing down at a stop sign so you can stop on time, and if the trail's a little bit icy up a hill, you'll get that little bit of traction. But when it comes to actually performance, if you want to see a performance difference in terms of acceleration from your track, there's nothing will compare to performance studs, and that's why I've kind of leaned to that side and had real studs instead of the pre-studded tracks. Yeah, so that's kind of my take on pre-studs versus studs. Let me know what you think. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Another thing I just wanted to mention in terms of my choice of backers. So in the past 3 years, I actually have been using these guys over here, which are the Studboy Pro Series backers. It actually adds quite a bit of security to the stud itself. In most situations, most traditional stud installs are going to be using like a washer and a nut, and then you have quite a bit of that stud protruding out, and that can result in snapping and things down the road. Still unlikely, but it is something that could happen. So that's kind of a reason why I really like these Pro Series backers, because they actually fill majority of that penetration of the stud, and there's only a little bit of the stud that's coming out of the end of the backer, so it's very unlikely to snap. And even more so than that, now that I'm rocking the double backers, it's very unlikely that those studs will pull through, and if they do, the track is probably going to rip in half. So that's kind of why I like these backers. Another thing that's really awesome about them is that with the double backers, they kind of have like a scoop to the backers, so they kind of act like their own lug. So when you're rotating your track and you're accelerating, it will actually grab the snow and help you and provide even more traction.
If you liked that video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the Sled Addicts YouTube channel, where we release content on everything snowmobiles. Also, hit that bell icon so you can be updated every time we release new videos.